I think it's a very important moment because in Africa right now we are experiencing growth and everybody is very surprised by the fact that Africa doesn't seem to be as affected as other regions with the turbulence in the global economy. The recent outlook published by the IMF continues to reduce the perspectives of growth for the world, but stays very optimistic about Africa. And I think it's a reflection of what is going on in terms of not just production, the fact that there is also an enormous increase in trade and investment, but also internal consumption that is pulling most of this growth. And I think it is very important for the US companies, for the US CEOs to get a different story about Africa. And for Africans to be able to play the card of a new narrative in a much more consistent way. Because it's not just about, proclaiming growth. We also want economic transformation. And this is a chance to explain what this has to do in terms of not just priorities for the continent, but also opportunities for others. Well, in terms of industries that really are going to grow very fast, I think we have certainly the transformative aspects of the continent requiring for big investments on energy. And everything that is linked to energy is going to have quite a boost in terms of capital investment. And that basically means that all the companies and production of electricity are going to have a major opportunity in terms of access to capital. But in terms of the transformation itself in the economies, I think agro-business is the entry point for industrialization in the continent, because normally the entrants in the industrialization era always start with transforming agricultural produce. And I think that is where we are going to start in Africa as well. Enormous opportunities because the middle class is growing, which means that the demand for consumer and retail opportunities is growing as well. And I think that is why we have to invest a lot on agribusiness. Well, it's not just one country. Depending on which part of the transformation drive we are talking about, you have different examples of countries that are doing extremely well. If you say what is the best country in terms of using remittances from migrants, certainly we'll think of a country like Tunisia and Cape Verde. If you are saying what is the best financial market in terms of performance, you will think about Mauritius. If you say what is the country that is going in the biggest strides in terms of industrialization, you will say a country like Ethiopia should be featured. If you mention what countries have increased their productivity in terms of agriculture, you will think about Nigeria. If you say what country has been able to master a value chain in order to integrate much better its services and its industrial capabilities, you'll think about Morocco. So depending on which countries we are talking about, you see some characteristics of transformation. There is no one country that is the champion for everything. You may think that Kenya is the best on IT. You may think of Botswana is the best on managing its natural resources. So countries have different appeals depending on which entry point we are talking about. The most inspiring aspect is that it is the best return on investment. If you just compare it with any other region, Africa has the best return on investment. Also, it has the biggest opportunities. You think about anything that will make growth sustainable. Like, for instance, what is the situation of energy? Africa has the best renewable energy, but also a huge stock of traditional forms of exploitation of energy. You think about agriculture. Africa has the largest reservoir of non-used arable land. If you think about water, which is a strategic resource, Africa is positioned to be probably one of the continents with the least difficulties in spreading the wealth that comes with fresh water. You think about the oceans and the sea. the blue economy. Africa has one of the best potentials. And you can go on in each one of the areas, not to mention the traditional known story that Africa has a lot of mineral resources. And you see the potential for Africa really to strive. That's why we believe in the sustainability of this growth. This growth, of course, can be a bust if it's not used for propelling a real change in the structure of the economies. They still are very much trapped into low productivity, the lowest in the world, be it in terms of agriculture, be it in terms of industrial and manufacturing, a bit less on mineral and mining extractive industries. But of course, those don't create too many jobs, and they continue to be used in Africa mostly in its raw form without value addition. So a bit of value addition here, a bit of value addition there will make a huge difference in terms of employment creation, but also sustainability of this growth pattern. Well, I think because the American companies have to wake up, we have a major growth of investment coming from the BRICS, from other countries in the south and developing economies, or even countries like Turkey. And I think the traditional donors and the traditional trade partners and the traditional investors of Africa that used to be the US, Japan and the European economies are taking a bit of a backseat. In terms of capital stock on investments, the US continues to be #1 in Africa. But the type of investment is involved with and the trends moving forward are not very favorable to continue to have this #1 prized spot. So that's why it is important in a meeting, in a forum like this, to discuss what is it that needs to be done for American companies to be convinced that we are entering a very different stage in Africa's economic situation, and then they should be part of it.